Where the penguins play and the seal them stray. I'll sing it for you later on because yes, there is a song. But for right now, I want to welcome you to the Aaah-Inspiring Antarctica, a Jamaican on Ice experience. And I call it an experience because it's more than just an exhibition. It is truly, truly an experience. And after much searching, so let me back up. So I went to Antarctica in 2007. I was the marketing director for a small cruise line, and I took a press trip there. Spent 5 days in Buenos Aires and then went down to Ushuaia, which is the southernmost city in the world. And from there, we boarded the ship to Antarctica. And after much searching, and I've had friends and librarians and all kinds of people searching, I have concluded, and I am claiming it, I am owning it, that I am indeed the first Jamaican woman to set foot on Antarctica, to visit Antarctica. And so, yes, I am claiming it, I am owning it, and I'm just so excited to be able to share this experience with you via this means. It's an experience that honestly is so much better if you are able to see it in person, where you can get close up to the photos and all of that. But we're in the time of COVID. What we're going to do, we have to work with what we have. And so I'm going to try and make this as good an experience as possible for you using this virtual means. And so I want to just thank you for sharing your space with me today. The exhibit opened earlier this year in February. Boy, it feel like so long ago, but yet just not so long ago since we've been locked away. But we opened in February at the National Library of Jamaica to great acclaim. It was very, very well received. Enough kudos, by the way, to my friends at the NLJ. Big up to Beverly and Monique, Chantal, Bowman, and the team inside the printry. Just the most wonderful people, They really embraced the whole Antarctica exhibit. And you'll see some film and some footage from that because I'm going to show you some stuff.
Whole exhibition, I think it's very inspiring.
First of all, I was so excited. I was actually overseas when Judith called me and asked if she could launch the exhibition and the book at the National Library. Now, Antarctica. Who goes to Antarctica? And a Jamaican going to Antarctica. So I said, what a wonderful idea. Of course we'll do it.
We had a full house for the launch, and the following day we had an even fuller house. We had over 300 students who came from as far away as Montego Bay to see the exhibit, to watch the film, to hear the talk, to ask questions, and to just talk about the environment in general. And that was really something special.
For somebody like me who likes to travel, it inspires me a lot more to go further.
Antarctica Adventure! Antarctica!
Did you have a good time?
Yes!
From there, I went to Ocho Rios. I had 2 launches in Ocho Rios. One was a public event. The other one was a private event with the youth from Church on the Rock, Ocho Rios. Big up Church on the Rock. Big up Pastor O. And my friends from my family, really, from Church on the Rock, Ocho Rios. And that was just a wonderful time that I had with the kids. Actually, you know what? Stick a pin. I'm going to show you a little clip from that. So we had a lot of fun with the kids at Church on the Rock, Ocho Rios. And then from there, I went to Montego Bay. Wow. That was quite an experience, and I have to big up Arlene and the IRITS team from the Rastafari Indigenous Village in Montego Bay, because they gave me the whole museum and I was able to spread out and show the entire exhibit. And we just had a constant flow of people coming in to watch the film and talk about the environment and have great discussion and buy books, because I do also have books. So this entire experience is a film. It's 2 books which I created. One is a pictorial book, coffee table book. The other is a children's book, and I'm going to be reading a little bit from that a little bit later on today. And so it was a whole experience, and of course there's a song, and you can't have song without dance, so yes, there's also a dance. And if my legs can move well, I teach you the dance later on. I have to tell you though that after having done all of that, I then went back to Kingston, and I had a great time with some kids at Bucophilia. Boy, they were a handful.
The chin-strap penguins have come out to play.
It feels rather nice to go on this adventure as a Jamaican on ice.
We were reading together, singing and dancing, and then I had I can't say a better time because with the kids is always the best time. I had another great time with the adults who came for the readings, and it was just overall a fabulous launch. And I left Jamaica to come back to the States with several events planned all over the US, already planned and cemented, airfare, all of those things. And bam, COVID licked it out. So there we go. It was COVID time. But I have to, before I ramble on, I have to tell you that the most impacting part of the Jamaica launch for me, and the most impacting part of this whole entire experience of doing this exhibit for me, is what it has meant to the children. So Student Day, it was something else. It was overwhelming. It actually brought me to tears to see all these students who were just so into it. And I'm going to show you a little bit of what they had to say too. The teachers also were very into it.
Yeah, I think it was excellent. It was a clinical presentation and we would have learned a lot. Truly, it's a blessing to be here, and certainly we hope to spread this knowledge that we gained today.
And the level of engagement was just absolutely overwhelming. But the thing that touched my heart the most was this. She was either 10, 11 or 12, can't remember. But this little girl who came to me and she said, "Miss,
today my teacher gave me a chance to see others that saw other places around the world, and also helped me to further my dream."
She said to me, "When you were a little girl, you used to dream of traveling." I said, "I've always dreamt of traveling. It has always been, I used to read National Geographic and just see all these amazing things in the world and said, one day I must see them." And she said, "You know, Miss, I dream too. But it would never cross my mind that I would ever be able to do it. And you really have given me hope. You have shown me that even me, a little girl like me, could have those big dreams and coming from even a little country like Jamaica and actually make them work." So that's what we're doing today, and that's what I'm going to be sharing with you today. Sadly, again, COVID kind of hit out some of it, but we're gonna still have a good time. We're gonna make it exciting. The exhibit has 4 components, as I told you, and I'm going to try and go through all of those with you today. Thank you again for taking time. And by the way, when this is over, at 8 o'clock, if you are interested in asking me questions or just chatting with me, meet me on Zoom. Go to my website, JamaicanOnIce.com. And you'll see a link there so you can register for it. It's just for this evening, November 22 at 8 p.m. on Zoom, so you can meet me there. Just check out the website, JamaicanOnIce.com. So there are those 4 components, and I'm going to try and go through them with you today. But I always like to start with the film, because, well, who doesn't like a movie? And the film kind of sets the pace and sets the stage for everything else to come. So I'm going to, without further ado, take you to Antarctica via Aaah-Inspiring Antarctica, a Jamaican on Ice, the film. Enjoy. The harshest environment in the world, the frozen continent, a land where strutting penguins and barking seals brave the coldest of winters and screaming katabatic winds. These were the images of Antarctica engraved on my mind, drawn from the nature programs that tell stories of early explorers like Ernest Shackleton, who conquered the white continent. To step on the continent of Antarctica was a dream come true. Hello, Antarctica! Snowflakes and all! To walk in the footsteps of legendary scientists, brave the elements like an intrepid explorer, and to catch a glimpse of unique wildlife frolicking between majestic icebergs, that's the stuff of dreams.
Hey Judy, you ready?
Yeah man, Pedro, where we going?
A cold place.
Oh, me ready. You ready?
grab your jacket, let's go! Jamaica go everywhere, and that you should know. From the heat of the equator to the land down below. Hop aboard a plane, and here we go to the wide continent, the land of ice and snow.
Where the penguins play and the seal them stray, the iceberg tall and the snow will fall. Where the whale them meet for the krill them eat, the ice floats by and the mountain high.
Down in Antarctica, down in Antarctica.
When I told my friends and family that I was going to be going to Antarctica, they all asked me almost unanimously why I was traveling so far just to go look at some ice. In fact, several of them invited me to their homes to take a look in their freezers so I could get a first-hand and up-close and personal look at some ice. But I knew it would be so much more than just ice. I'd been the writer and marketing director for the cruise line I was traveling on for several years. And so from research and all the articles I had written, I knew that it was going to be spectacular. It was a once-in-a-lifetime experience. And so I got myself a Nikon camera, bought myself an iPod so that I could have my reggae music with me everywhere I went. Got to represent. Got myself some nice warm boots and some knee-high water boots so that I could cover those boots when we had to make water landings. And I also got a nice thick fleece jacket, even though I knew I was going to be getting the red expedition parka for the cruise. I was truly, truly ready for the cold. To get there, I flew from Fort Lauderdale to Buenos Aires, business class, courtesy of a free upgrade. And there I spent 5 amazing days speaking Spanglish, soaking up the art and culture, avoiding the street dogs, choking on uncontrolled exhaust fumes, enjoying the parks and eating gelato. I have to tell you though, that the thousands of birds swirling overhead really give a new meaning to the term crapshoot. From there, it was on to Ushuaia, the southernmost city in the world and Argentina. From there, I toured the beautiful Tierra del Fuego National Park, which sits beneath the Patagonian mountains, before I boarded my ship to Antarctica. With great trepidation, I faced the Drake Passage. I'd heard so many horror stories over so many years about the Drake Passage, about 10-foot waves and 15-foot waves and passengers literally turning green just from the bouncing and the up and down. So here's a little known fact about me. I do have motion sickness, but only on land. I'm fine in the air and I'm fine at sea. I have pretty good sea legs. But just to be sure, I got myself some ginger candies, some ginger pills, some meclizine, some Dramamine, everything I could find. I even got patches just to make sure that crossing the Drake Passage would have been bearable. But I was lucky. The Drake was in a good mood that day. Crossing was smooth, it was easy, and I slept like a baby. Waking up to the stark, sheer beauty of the ice capes all around me, an albatross gliding on the wind, and scores of people peering over the railings to see whales breaching in the distance, man, that was the perfect way to start my trip. Aboard MV Discovery, I was the youngest passenger, and I was also the only passenger of color, which made me kind of stand out and a bit of an enigma, and everyone soon knew that I worked for the cruise line. Many cruise lines claim to go to Antarctica. However, only smaller size expedition boats and cruise ships with strengthened or ice-breaking hulls can truly enter and navigate the vast ice fields that cover the southernmost Antarctic waters. Icebergs, bergy bits, ice flows, and other ice capes make it dangerous to cruise the waters. This is why an ice master was mandatory on the ship that I was on. He's the captain in charge once we enter the ice fields. He's the expert in spotting the icebergs, calculating their size and distance, and ensuring safe passage. More importantly though, small-sized ships with limited passenger loads means that the human footprint and the impact on the continent is so much less than any other regular tourist destination. In 2007, approximately 20,000 people traveled to the continent. In 2019, an estimated 44,000 people visited. When you consider that even relatively small islands like Jamaica received more than 3 million visitors in the same year, you can see why I felt privileged to be among the few to walk in the shoes of great explorers. Our first landing was on Paradise Island at Waterboat Point to be exact, home to a large rookery of Gentoo penguins and a fully operational Chilean Air Force base, which is manned 3 months out of the year. Very strict guidelines are given to those who visit on how to dress and prepare for landings. But the most important lesson we're taught before setting foot on the Zodiac boat that takes us to the land is how to respect the environment and the wildlife we encounter. Zodiac boats take turns ferrying passengers so that very few people are on the land at any one time, lessening the impact even further. We learn that we are in their territory, the animals' territory, and that the penguins have right of way. And penguin police stand at the ready to remove anyone who dares to interfere with the wildlife. A rare thing. There are 3 not completely albino penguins, Gentoo penguins that they found here. And he's right down here. Notice his black feathers didn't come in. He's right there, but he's got the right colored beak and the right color eyes. So Peter Carey tells me he's not a true albino. We are taught to take nothing but memories and leave nothing but footprints. We also learn that penguin poop is pink from the krill they eat, and it stinks to the high heavens. You smell it long before you see it. So our shoes are scrubbed clean before leaving the island to prevent any foreign matter from getting on board. The wildlife is everywhere. Minke and humpback whales, they patrol the ocean. Skua gulls and albatross soar overhead. The penguins strut their stuff, and even the cormorants are running up and down steps. He seems to be doing his morning exercise. But I have to tell you how much I loved the seals. At Hope Bay, I got my fill of watching seals in all their glory. I even caught a sea lion stalking its prey. Oh no!
Yeah, that's not is that a leopard?
Uh-oh! Trouble! Uh-oh! Go, 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 Mr. Penguin, run! Ooh, he got off. Antarctica is pristine and beautiful beyond belief. The stark black mountains contrast with ever-present white snow, and the air is so clear you can see miles away. The sunsets, oh, the sunsets are spectacular. The scientists who occupy the Chilean station during the austral summer and the cruise lines that visit the area are very protective of the continent. As the global warming debate rages on, the spotlight continues to shine on the dire consequences of human action on our planet. An area often left out of debate is the South Pole. Perhaps because it is among the least visited destinations in the world. It may be also because it's uninhabited by humans for most of the year, or its sheer vastness and seemingly never-ending ice sheet evokes invulnerability. Yet, Antarctica holds many keys to the mysteries of Earth, locking away secrets beneath layers of ice as thick as a mile. Over 80% of the world's ice is found in Antarctica. Let that sink in. If all that ice were to melt, there would be 6 times more water on the planet than currently exists. Let that sink in.
Every second, 3 Olympic-sized swimming pools worth of ice is disappearing from Antarctica.
Glacier ice is delicious, by the way. I had a little piece. But Antarctica is the last great frontier. It is the last unspoiled place on Earth. At least it should be, but for the effects of climate change.
The cause is warming ocean waters, and the ice melt has implications for sea level rise well beyond the South Pole region.
According to one recent study, the continent's ice is slipping away 6 times faster than it was 40 years ago.
On board with me were Dr. Peter Carey and Dr. Craig Franklin, both world-renowned zoologists and experts on the continent's wildlife, having made over 400 trips as guides. Even back then, they remarked on the effects of the warming oceans resulting in retreating glaciers and slow melting. Far from affecting only the landscape, however, the wildlife is also at risk.
This warming environment threatens 2 species of penguins.
International scientists who use the Chilean research station on Paradise Island as their base can attest to the effects of the size of the penguin colonies. Some of them are getting smaller and some of them are moving. Walking around the base, carefully avoiding the residents, I learned about the work being done to track the tuxedoed birds, the information about the planet buried deep within the layers of snow and ice, and the history of expeditions, successful and failed. In February 2007, I visited the White Continent and returned with an appreciation for its role in keeping our world intact. The direct impacts of melting glaciers on rising seas and flooded cities can no longer be disputed.
A state of emergency in the beautiful Italian city of Venice. Exceptional flooding from high tides, the worst in 50 years.
As I write, Eastern Canada and the northeast coast of the USA are undergoing record cold, with each year seemingly worse than the year before. In summer of 2019, Hurricane Dorian pummeled Abaco and Grand Bahama Islands in the Bahamas for 2 full days with ferocious winds in excess of 150 miles per hour, leaving behind hundreds of missing people and a recovery process that will take decades to complete. Our climate is in trouble. Our very existence on this planet is in trouble. Now, I'm no climate change expert. I'm just a concerned citizen of the world trying to do my part to make a difference. Aaah-Inspiring Antarctica, the experience, takes a look at the continent through the eyes of my own camera lens, in my own words through 2 printed books, a pictorial travelogue and a children's book, a short film and a talk. I hope to inspire the next generation and you to be bold. Step out of your comfort zone and explore this magnificent world. Go out and learn about and from cultures that are different from your own. There is vast knowledge and truth to be gained from travel. Lasting knowledge and untouched truths that help us to be more tolerable, more understanding, more empathetic, more aware of our planet, and ultimately more human. I want to provoke thought and stir consciences. How will we change what we're doing to this only earth we have? It is ours today, it is our grandchildren's tomorrow. While we're busy out there searching for new worlds to conquer, let us not forget that this is still the only one we have. Well, I hope you enjoyed the film. I enjoyed putting it together, and I have to give kudos to my husband, right? Because those of you who know me know that Michael Brown is my husband, and he is a producer and a filmmaker, and you know what he was able to do with that footage that I shot while I was in Antarctica. Now remember, there was no HD, no cell phone. Well, we had cell phones, but there were nothing that could do anything like this. No fancy cell phones, no iPhone, no nothing like that. So I was actually filming on a regular video camera on tape. So the footage was not the best, and I am grateful that he was able to take it and create what I am very proud to call a wonderful film, and I hope you actually enjoyed it. So one of the things that I have to tell you, I want to share some of the things I learned while I was in Antarctica. But whenever I tell people I went to Antarctica, they immediately start telling me about their trip to Alaska. And they start asking me about the polar bears. And I have to kind of flip it for them and explain to them that no, wrong place. Alaska up top, Antarctica down the bottom. And so for the young people who might be watching, who are not aware of that, Antarctica is at the South Pole. No polar bears, lots of penguins, seals, whales, and other unique wildlife, but no polar bears and no bears at all. Back to telling you about some of the things that fascinated me while we were there. So in person, when I do this, I like to give this talk because, you know, it's interesting for me, and it's interesting that there are these things that we never ever think about. One of the things that I learned is that batteries don't last long in cold weather. And so before we left to go, the folks on the ship and the folks, because I remember I worked for the cruise line, so the crew would call and they said, listen, these are the things you have to carry. Be sure you carry tons of batteries and make sure that they are rechargeable batteries, and carry 2 recharging stations. Because if one goes down, you need to have one. I was like, oh, please. Anyway, I did carry tons of batteries. I told all my press to carry tons of batteries. So we all had tons of rechargeable batteries. And it's a good thing, because let me tell you, by the time you put 2 batteries in the camera and go so, and film 30 minutes, battery dead, 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 dead. And they explained that it had to do with the extreme cold, that the batteries, because, you know, remember now, you know, we're in the South Pole, the batteries don't last long, but also something to do with how far south we were and the polarity. I'm not a scientist, can't explain it to you, but something to do with the pole and the pulling of the earth and electronics and all that kind of stuff. So that was very interesting for me, was to be able to learn that. And I had the benefit of working for the cruise line, so I was able to go on the bridge. I was able to hang out with the lecturers and all those folks and learn a lot of interesting things. Another one of the things that was very, very interesting to me was that there are actually plants in Antarctica. So when I was planning to go to Antarctica and I told my friends, everybody was like, well, you go so far to see ice. I had some friends who actually said to me, come look in my freezer, I will show you some ice. But I kind of knew, because I worked for the cruise line so long, that there was just so much more to it. And I used to write for the cruise line, and I would write about Antarctica just from research, from things other people told me. And let me tell you, it was just mind-blowing when I actually got there. So one of the questions people ask me is about plants. And in some of the pictures, and I'll be showing you pictures as we go through this whole thing, if you look at this picture that I'm showing you right now, you will see that there is red stuff on the ground by my feet and around me. That is actually a red algae that grows in Antarctica. It's a plant. And there's a red algae and a yellow algae and I think a white one, but the one that is most prevalent is red. And so there are plants. They aren't big bushes, but there is plant life. The other thing was the penguins. So the penguins are all around you and you're walking, and we had penguin police and their job was to make sure you didn't disturb the wildlife. So as you're walking, you know, you have to stop and let them pass, give them right of way and let them pass and go about their business while they're there. But penguin poop is stink. You can smell it from miles away, miles away. As you're approaching the island where the rookery is, you can smell it from way, 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 way out. And it's pink. So some of that pink that you see in this photo right here, that is actually penguin poop. That is pink and all over the place. And you're walking around with it all around you. So that was interesting too. Had a lot of fascinating experiences, saw some whales, saw a lot of different wildlife. I fell in love with the seals, so many different types of seals, and I absolutely fell in love with the seals. This picture here is I call it seal posing in the sun because it's one of my favorites. I just took tons and tons of pictures of the seals because I thought they were so beautiful. This one is Seal by the Canoe. So this old boat has been there forever. The expedition leaders who go to this island, this is Half Moon Island, go to this island over and over every year. They have seen this boat here very, very, very slowly rotting for decades because it's so cold. And so there are a lot of seals that hang around in that area by the boat. And that's really cool. Some other things that were cool, like this image here, I called it, "Look Ma, no head." And I love it because the penguin was able to turn his head all the way around. I have photos of what I call my twin strap, chin strap. These are chin strap penguins. You see the strap underneath their chin. And the other thing that was really interesting is that, you know, all this, we look in all these books and you see all these perfectly beautiful white penguins. And I really have to wonder about that, because on this particular island, this is Waterboat Point at Paradise Harbor. And at this point, there is a Chilean research station that is manned 3 months out of the year. And it is a station for different countries use it, even though it's actually the Chilean station. But this island doesn't always get iced over, and it's muddy. So when you look at the penguins, they are muddy and dirty, and that was the first one they took us to. So that was not fun to see. It was stink, but hey, it was fun. And they have a little museum there, so I bought myself a certificate. I got a certificate for my grandson, because I hope one day he'll go to Antarctica and he can take his certificate with him and get another one. So that was really, really cool. What else did I do that was very, very interesting? Oh, this particular trip started, as I told you, in Buenos Aires. Then we went to Tierra del Fuego National Park in Ushuaia. And from there, boarded the ship, went across the Drake Passage, which was actually smooth on the way down, because the Drake is a strange passage because the Pacific, the Atlantic, and the Southern Seas, all of which are flowing in different directions, actually converge there. So it's usually very, very rough. It was smooth going down. On the way back, that passage kicked butt and took names, and it took my name too. I don't get seasick normally, but I was flat out the whole time crossing the Drake coming back. But what I did do, though, was this particular cruise also went through the Chilean fjords, and I took champagne, and I had my champagne picture with the glacier behind me. It was kind of creepy after a while, because these old men were lining up behind me to take pictures, and it creeped me out to get out to the jacuzzi, but that was fun. The most fascinating thing, and sadly I didn't have the right camera or the right lens to take a picture of this, but one of the journalists who was with us, he was an astronomer, amateur astronomer, a little bit of a know-it-all, but he actually apparently knew what he was saying. And so on the last night in Antarctica, 4 of us or 5 of us decided to brave the cold. How cold was it? That's another question people ask me all the time. So we went in the austral summer, and the austral summer, remember, it's upside down now. So when it's hot here, it's cold there. But the austral summer actually lasts from November until end of February, sometimes as far as into March, sometimes as early as the end of January. And this was the middle to the end of February. So it was actually pretty warm. It was in the 40s most of the time. It was actually colder. There was a cold front in Florida that weekend, and it was actually colder in North Florida than I was in Antarctica. So it was really funny. But it was in the 40s most days. Some days it went down to the 30s. But on this particular night, it was about 32 degrees, and we were outside on deck. Now imagine, you're on deck and the ship moving, so so it's 32 with a wind chill of 20. So we're outside freezing our butts off in our parkas. But we decided that we wanted to see the moon come up because it was a full moon. Oh my goodness. I can't even explain to you just how spectacular that was. So what we saw, and it's hard to describe. So imagine now, you're looking out to the horizon and you see the moon coming up, but you see a curve on the moon, the shadow of a curve on the moon. And I was like, what is that? Really, really strange. And the guy who was the astronomer said to us that, what that is the actual curvature of the Earth. And because we were so far south, you could actually see the curvature of the Earth as a shadow on the moon as the moon came up. Absolutely, without a doubt, the most spectacular thing I saw on this trip. In addition to the sunsets. The sunsets were just brilliant. You'd never believe that this is in Antarctica, the coldest, harshest environment in the world. So here we are. I'm going to read a little passage for you. I have 2 books that came out of this. This is Antarctica Adventures with a Jamaican on Ice, and this is the children's book. And in this book, it has all kinds of cool pictures, much the same as the pictures in the coffee table book, but with, of course, much less copy, much less text in it. And it's written for kids age 4 and up. But the beauty of this book is that it also has activity sheets in it where the kids can do all kinds of activities. It has the words to the song. The song is on YouTube, so they can always look it up and sing along. And it has lots of information in it. Because I believe that everything should be educational. I really don't do anything unless you can learn something from it. So I believe in things being educational. And then this is the other book I'm going to read a little bit from, and it's called Aaah-Inspiring Antarctica. And this is the coffee table book. It's hardcover and available on my website. And right now, actually, if you order this now and you're within the US, it'll come to you with shipping included. If you're in Jamaica, it's available at Bookophilia in Kingston, or just drop me a message and we'll sort it out, okay? Because I do have copies in Jamaica and we can sort that out. But I'm gonna do a little reading for you. And again, remember that if you are interested in joining me on Zoom after this, I'll be on Zoom. Just go to my website, which is JamaicanOnIce.com, and register to join me on Zoom. We're going to have a little chat, and it's a chance to ask questions and stuff like that. So I'm going to read just a couple pages for you. And this was our first landing when we landed in Paradise Harbor. I can't feel my toes. I hope they're still there. But my mind is as clear as the crystal waters around Paradise Harbor. Here, in the midst of the most awe-inspiring scenery on earth, massive glaciers, stinky gentoos, seals lacing on ice floes, and shades of blue ice, I find myself among the men who occupy the Gabriel Gonzalez Videla Chilean Air Force Base, a research station. There are others with me, of course, but except for the penguins and cormorants picking their way around me, I am alone in my thoughts. World-renowned explorer Peter Carey is our expedition leader, and he sticks close to my group, taking us to where an albino, not truly albino, he says, penguin stands out from the crowd. It's all white feathers covering areas where black feathers never reported for duty. He doesn't seem to notice the difference, and I'm not sure if his black and white tuxedoed family and friends do either. They seem oblivious to many things, really, including the putrid stench of guano which fills the rocks, pathways, and air and stains their white feathers. I wonder to myself, where do photographers find all those perfect penguins with perfectly white bellies? There are airbrushed penguins all over the world. A quick stop at the souvenir shop for a certificate as proof that I was here, and one for my grandson, whom I hope will one day make it here. A thorough scrub of the boots to remove the mud and guano, and it's onto our Zodiac for a 10-minute ride back to the ship, almost blending in the background against the glacier and slightly hidden in the fog that's rolling in. A fur seal strikes the perfect pose on an ice floe as we go by. I think he's done this before. He must be from Hollywood. For reasons I cannot explain, I thought my day was over, made perfect with an exhilarating landing on the White Continent. Now, as we turn away from the ice-filled entrance to Lemaire Channel, and the equally spectacular Numere Channel looms ahead, I realize my day is far from over. It's 6 p.m. and the massive icebergs on either side of the ship reflect with intensity the stunning blue skies and blinding light from a sun still too far in the sky to contemplate setting. It's chilly out here on deck, but these sights cannot be missed. Once in a lifetime is worth a little frostbite, I reminded myself, as my fingers forget that they're attached to my hands. I'm wearing gloves and mittens to boot, but still freezer burns threaten. Mark and Jim, Zodiac drivers sharing my space next to the bridge, suggest that I should remove the gloves and put my bare hands in my pockets for better warmth. Seems a bit strange, but it works. Apparently, my gloves are restricting blood flow to my digits. Dr. Peter Carey joins me on deck for a spell. He's wearing short sleeves. I fear he must be mad. But after hundreds of forays into the waters of Antarctica, he is immune to the cold that has me all bundled up. I look ridiculous, I admit. And so I continue on. Click, click, click. I stay until the sun sets. 3 of our crew, Peter, Dan, and I, stay until the sun sets completely beyond the horizon. Click, click, click. Each moment more perfect than the preceding. Glorious reds, oranges, pinks, and purples slipping behind the stark white and black mountains and burnishing the ocean in our wake. It's 9:45 p.m. The last tinges of color are beginning to disappear in the distance. Ahead of us, a shadow. Dan is an astronomer among his many titles. He tells us it's the shadow of the Earth. We can see it because of where we are, almost at the very bottom of the world. The moon hovers in a strange place. Sadly, my simple camera cannot catch this spectacle. And I think I will stop there. And that's enough. So again, both books are on sale on the website, JamaicanOnIce.com. Just check them out. Children's book and the coffee table book are both available. And for a limited time only, shipping is included to mainland USA. So check it out. And you can buy your books there. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you so much for being a part of the global launch of Aaah-Inspiring Antarctica at Jamaican on Ice. When this COVID thing done, I plan to still hit the road. So the exhibit will still be in various places because this medium won't reach everybody. And believe me, it is so much more. I have over 40 photos, posters, educational information about Antarctica, about my travel, and just about all the things that this means. One of the things that has come out of this, and I really do want to share this, is that in conjunction with the Jamaica Library Service and the National Library of Jamaica, I will be doing, my husband and I and my team actually, we will be doing what we call Travel to Educate. We have formed a company called Travel to Educate, and each year we will be taking an exhibit to Jamaica, to the National Library, for kids to be able to see and to learn about a different part of the world that we have traveled to. It will encompass a film, it will encompass photos, the whole 9 yards. And each year we will pick a different destination that we have visited because, well, we love to travel. And we have also incorporated some friends who love to travel and have been all over the world as well. So there's more of that to come. And then once we finish with the National Library, Jamaica Library Service will take over, and every single parish throughout the island, we will visit the regional or the parish library so that students can come from all the schools and over a few days get to be a part of this exhibit. And so we're starting with Antarctica, Aaah-Inspiring Antarctica, which should have happened actually this October, but did not happen, obviously. So next year, this exhibit will go back to Jamaica and will travel around the island. And I will go ahead and give these talks. And in fact, even right here in the States, because Palm Bay Elementary, I'm going to be doing the talks virtually, doing exactly what I'm doing now virtually for the science students in grade 5 and grade 3 at Palm Bay Elementary. And I have a couple of other schools that have asked. Why? Because it is important. This is not about making money. It's about being a part of something so much larger and getting our young people to understand how everything connects in the world and how somewhere like Antarctica, which you would never even think of, is so important to the environment and the ecosystems of the rest of the world. And as an environmentalist myself, and somebody who believes in taking care of the environment, I think I have a duty, and we all have a duty, to our young people to make sure they understand how important it is to take care of this one world that we have. Thank you again for being a part of Aaah-Inspiring Antarctica, a Jamaican on Ice. I'll see you on Zoom, JamaicanOnIce.com. Go ahead, register, and I'll meet you there in just a few minutes. But before you do, one of my favorite parts of this whole putting together of this exhibit was recording the song with my friend Malachi Smith. It's your time to sing, you know. The song is gonna come up, the words are there and everything, so you'll be able to sing along. I want to say thanks to Xavier and Jamaicans.com and Aaah Times TV and my whole team for being a part of this. And remember, join me on Zoom after this.
Antarctica.
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 Antarctica. Hey Judy, you ready?
Yeah, man, Pedro, where we going?
A cold, cold place.
Oh, me ready. You ready?
Grab your jacket and let's go. Jamaica go everywhere, that you should know. From the heat of the equator to the lands down below. Hop aboard a plane, and here we go to the white continent, the land of ice and snow.
Where the penguins play and the seal them stray, the icebergs tall and the snow will fall. Where the whale them meet for the krill them eat, the ice floats by and the mountain high. Down in Antarctica, down in Antarctica, down in Antarctica, down in Antarctica. The southern sea is where you'll find me when the austral summer makes everything warmer. But at 40 degrees it's too cold, you see. I can't feel my toes or the fingers on my hand, 'cause I'm from a hot place, I'm Jamaican. Where the penguins play and the seal them stray, the icebergs tall and the snow will fall. Where the whale them meet for the krill them eat, the ice floats by and the mountain high. Down in Antarctica, down in Antarctica, down in Antarctica, down in Antarctica. Whoa, Pedro, watch the penguin sliding, do the penguin slide.
Hear the seal them barking.
Do the penguin slide, let's do the penguin slide, let's do the penguin slide. Where the penguins play and the seal them stray, the icebergs tall and the snow will fall. Where the whale them meet for the krill them eat, the ice floats by and the mountain high. Where the penguins play and the seal them stray, the icebergs tall and the snow will fall. Where the whale them meet for the krill them eat, the ice floats by and the mountain high. Down in Antarctica, down in Antarctica.
What a beautiful place,
Down
Judy.
in Antarctica.
I tell you, it's nice.
I could never imagine a world like this.
Now, take me, I go back to Jamaica and I love it.
Oh my, oh my. Wow, wow, look at the penguins. Look at the mountains. Wow!
Down in Antarctica.
You see the importance of protecting the planet.